When I was in junior high, I had an unusual hobby: breaking into people's homes. I didn't do it for the money. In fact, I never stole anything at all. I left no sign of my presence. I did it for one reason: the thrill of being on the edge of disaster, to test the limits with what I could get away with. So sometimes I would go out at night, or skip school and ride over to the Heights to see what kind of mischief I could muster. The way I saw it, there was no harm in it, as long as it never got caught. Had it not been for the unique characteristics of the place I lived at the time, it would never have occurred to me to start sneaking into people's houses. My family lived near a neighborhood we call the Heights, that for half a year became a ghost town. The area consisted almost entirely of vacation homes, which were only occupied for months in the winter for skiing and in the summer for hiking and recreation of that sort. In the off-seasons, the place was almost entirely empty, apart from the landscapes and some other maintenance and construction crew. When I was around 8, when people began to build the mountainside homes, I would go check them out after the builders had finished for the evening. They were interesting houses. Some were 3 or 4 homes with incredible views of the ski slopes. I never got to see the inside of a finished one until much later, however. One day, I was 13. I was walking alone through the Heights, enjoying the strange tranquility of the world, conspicuously absent of other people, when the idea to let myself into one of the vacant constructs popped into my naive brain. It seemed a shame to let them go to waste. I would just be putting the places to good use. They were made to be enjoyed, after all, I remembered thinking. Most of the time, when you have a bad idea, you don't know it's a bad idea until things don't turn out the way you'd hope they would. This wasn't one of those times. I knew this was risky and stupid, and that was the reason I found it so enticing. I got my hands on some lockpicks and started practicing on several different locks. By the time fall had arrived, I felt I was ready to move on to my first break-in. For my first time, I went under the cover of night. The neighborhood was deserted, as usual, but I felt highly exposed as I crept through the streets. Nervous, I found a target at the end of the neighborhood, near the end of the street that was fairly dark and isolated. There was a for sale sign beside the house. I figured I would start with something that was as safe as I could get. I checked to make sure there wasn't a security system, at least as far as I could tell, and I approached the back door. Having no experience with this, I didn't know if I was being far too cautious or if I was actually in over my head. My heart pounded out of my chest as I got out my lock-picking tools and went to work. It took me a minute, but just like that, I picked the lock and went inside. It felt so deliciously diabolical of me to set foot in someone's house uninvited. Though the thrill was appealing, criminality didn't really come natural to me. This was the first really illegal thing I had ever done, and I took the possibility of getting caught extremely serious. I didn't stay very long, but I made sure to take a tour and enjoy the adrenaline. I exited the same way I came and made my way home undetected. Never before had I felt so alive. And so it went. From there, I continued to hone my skills and push the envelope of what I could break into. As I got more comfortable, I had to increase the risk in order to get the feel of rush again. I soon realized how safe I really was on my first undertaking. Eventually, I got to the point where I felt comfortable breaking into houses in broad daylight after I witnessed the residents leave. I was always able to escape, admittedly sometimes quite narrowly before anyone came in and saw me. The seasonally occupied homes practically ceased to scare me at all. Oftentimes, I would do my homework in these houses, spend an hour watching TV, and then leave without anyone noticing. It felt almost like I owned all these houses, like the entire complex known as the Heights was my home. Over the next couple of months, I started spending so much of my time there that my girlfriend Amy started asking me where I was going all the time. Perhaps, foolishly, I decided to let her in on the secret. After all, she was my girlfriend, and I trusted her not to rat me out. Well, as it turned out, her ratting on me wasn't the thing I had to worry about. The problem was she really wanted to come with me, and I didn't know how to say no, even though the window of the spring season was nearing its end. Early on Saturday morning, I planned to take her to a place I had never been to before. A really nice place with a log cabin sort of appearance on the outside. As I remembered it, most of the house was on a single floor, with a wide open floor plan. I thought she'd appreciate it. We met beforehand at my house. She showed up wearing jeans and blue-gray plaid shirt over a navy tank top. Blue Converse. She was wearing the necklace I gave her last Valentine's Day. It was a little black stone in the shape of a heart on a silver chain. "Hey, you!" I said and spread my arms. "Hey," she said in her soft, cute voice. After a hug, we set off on foot. On the way, I tried one last time to talk her out of it. I told her how risky it was. Asked her to imagine what would happen if we got caught. Reminded her the spring season was almost over, yada yada. Eventually, she had heard enough. She leaned in close to my face and cut me off by licking my mouth while I was in mid-sentence. It caught me off guard, and I almost fell in shock and started laughing. When I recovered, I did at least get her to promise to take what we were about to do very seriously. For my backpack, I handed her some sunglasses and my black Yankees cap. We didn't really need disguises, but I thought it might get her in the right frame of mind. We kept walking, and when we could finally see the house, I turned to her and said, "This is it. From here on, you need to be alert at all times." She gave an affirming nod. We approached the side entrance of the house, and I quickly picked a lock and we slipped inside. From the moment I stepped inside that house with her, I was consumed by apprehension. Something didn't feel right. Maybe it was the time, maybe it was her attitude, but whatever it was that caused my worry, I decided to ignore it. I tried my best to sound relaxed as I gave her a tour of the house. There was no garage, but the driveway in the front was wide enough to fit 3 cars or so side by side. We entered through the left side of the house when viewed from the street. Through the side door, you are greeted by a tiny mud room with a closet for coats and a shoe rack on the left side. Straight ahead is a hallway with 2 doors on either side. The left 2 doors are an office and a bathroom, and on the right, we have 2 children's bedrooms, I said as I started down the hallway. "This is so crazy," Amy remarked. It was the first of several remarks of this sort she made as we made our way through the house. The office on the left was spotlessly clean. It looked as if it was rarely used, even when there were people staying there. There was a dark-stained wooden desk and nothing on it, and a black leather office chair. The room had a tan shag carpeting on the far wall that was fully stocked bookshelf and a window. Like the office, the bathroom was kept practically empty and meticulously clean. There was nothing but the sink, toilet, and shower. The 2 kids' bedroom had a single twin bed in each, and one further from the door had a small CRT TV. They both somewhat were messy, unlike the office and the bathroom, and both were decorated as little girls' rooms. "And here we have the beautiful open living area," I said as I left the hallway. At the end of the hallway, the house opened up to an expansive living room area with 15-foot ceilings, which was open to the kitchen off to the right, and semi-open to the dining room to the left, which was only separated by a large curved archway. The living room had a box of children's toys on the ground where a throw rug sat covering the well-kept hard wooden floors. A few of the toys were lying out on the ground, but besides that, the living room consisted of 3 seats, a couch, a chase lounge, and an armchair, which were all very fine if a little worn. There was a large and dramatic fireplace in the center of the living room. High above hung a large ceiling fan with wooden blades. The kitchen was bright, from the big windows above the counters and boasted a dark marble countertop and first-rate appliances. There was another half-bathroom on the way to the master's suite, which was down a short hallway to the left of the fireplace. As I reached the door handle to the master bedroom, Amy latched onto my arm. "I can't believe we're really doing this." She sounded more giddy than frightened. This time, I let the room speak for itself. On the wall above, the bed hung an enormous canvas with a mountain landscape in oil paint. The floors were a lighter stained hardwood than the living room area. The bed frame was made of wood, left to look natural. The 4 bedposts were like trees rising up from the floor almost to the ceiling. The bedspread was a marvelous white, which seemed to glow as the natural light poured in from the large windows on the far side of the room. 2 light wooden end tables supported clay-colored lamps with white shades, and incense light fixtures adorned the ceiling. "Wow, this place is incredible! That painting!" She approached the bed. We both started to let our guards down a little. I finished the tour with her and then settled down in one of the little kids' rooms. It was safer. There were things weren't kept so neat like the master bedroom. Less likely to leave a trace. Amy started pursuing the girls' closets. She found an odd assortment of clothes and an even stranger assortment of sizes. She pulled out one outfit that looked like it belonged to a 5-year-old. It was a tiny red dress with a white flower on the bottom right. Then she grabbed out a pajama pants and a shirt that would fit her. I guess when you only show up twice a year to a place you don't necessarily remember to clear out your old clothes. Then she found this silly purple pageant dress that she insisted I let her try on. To this day, I have no idea why I agreed. She actually looked pretty good in it. But then again, I thought she always looked good. She kept it on as she turned on the TV and plopped herself down on the twin bed, and I joined her there. We were lying together watching cartoons for a while when I heard something. I didn't know what it was exactly. A car, maybe? But I knew someone was coming. The TV was off instantly. I exploded out of bed, made a hard left down the hallway, and was halfway out the door before I knew what I was doing. Then I stopped and went back for Amy. She must have stopped to change out of the crazy dress she tried on and never changed out of it. But there was no time. I stared down the hallway toward the opening into the living room, praying that Amy would emerge from the bedroom before anyone appeared there. I heard the front door open and someone hurriedly dropped the bag on the floor as they entered. I floated silently back into the room with Amy and closed the door most of the way. It slid closed smoothly without a sound. Amy had finished changing. I gestured her to stay quiet. Only a few seconds passed before disaster struck. I had my back to the door as it flung open. I turned around and saw a tall woman with blonde hair in her late 30s. You can probably imagine the look on her face when she saw us. At first she jumped out of her skin. Then she looked at us with an expression of having been thoroughly violated, as though she never would feel safe again. Before she could speak, I blurted out, "We didn't steal anything!" "We didn't steal anything, I swear," Amy echoed. I remembered thinking we had horrendous luck. Why, when arriving in their vacation home, would an adult enter alone and immediately head for the children's room? Amazingly, the woman's expression seemed to soften, and she spoke. I guess she must have thought that we were just kids and didn't feel threatened. "What the hell are you two doing in my house?" We just wanted to see what it was like. We didn't touch anything, I promise," I said as I pushed past her, dragging Amy behind me. The woman didn't offer any resistance as we left. She had a dumbfounded look on her face now. We ran out of the house and down the street, back in the direction of my house. When we were out of earshot of the house, I screamed, "What the hell, Amy? I told you gotta be ready!" But of course, I was the one to blame. She didn't answer, and we just kept running until we got tired. My anger at her faded, and it was replaced by a deep desolation. It was all over, all of it. My world was spinning. I realized how lucky we were that there was only one woman, and she just let us leave. I tried telling myself that we might not even get into trouble for it. Like I could believe that. "What do we do now?" Amy asked, plainly. She appeared calm. Placid even. No, she was not okay. Maybe she was in shock or something. I don't know. Uh, shit. Let's just both go home. Call me, okay? It's gonna be fine. We're still alive. We're gonna be okay. I'll talk to you soon. Just run home and it'll all be good. I didn't believe it, and neither did she. But maybe just saying it enough times would make it true. Okay. We went our separate ways, and when I got home, I desperately awaited her phone call. My family grew concerned as I waited by the phone, no doubt with a look of despair smeared across my face. But I told them to mind their own business, and they didn't prod me further. I waited and waited, but her call never came, so I called her. No answer. I called her again, and her dad picked up. I thought maybe she told her parents what happened, and she was grounded or something. Not likely. There wasn't something she'd do. She had looked pretty shaken, though. Hello, Mr. Ferris? Is Amy there? I remember saying, in as polite and innocent a way I could muster. I thought she was with you. I was beginning to worry about her. You don't know where she is? Unbelievable. She'd never come home. No, sir, I don't. I haven't seen her since lunchtime. We had lunch at my place and she took off. She said she was going to call me when she got home, and she never did. So I called her and got you. He then said something about how I don't deserve her, and he was going to make my life hell if anything happened to her, and so on. I hung up the phone. I just have to talk to her on Monday at school. Only, she never came. Saturday night, her dad called the police, and the whole town got involved with the search of Amy Ferris, including me. But I kept Saturday events to myself. I didn't want to tell the police what we had done Saturday if I didn't have to. I hoped Amy would just turn up somewhere and we'd all be well again. But that was wishful thinking. When they finally found her, she was dead. I couldn't believe it. The feeling of sickness I felt when I heard the news is indescribable. She was found in the woods. She had been stripped and stabbed to death. But she wasn't the only one they found that day. She was buried alongside 20 other girls, aged 4 out of 14. Out of all the remains of the girls the police unearthed, she was the only one that had been stabbed to death. All the rest appeared to have been poisoned. Amy was buried with her shoes, sunglasses, hat, and necklace beside her. The other girls had similar possessions uncovered along with their corpses. Since it was too late anyway, I didn't go to the police with my information. Instead, I went back to that blonde woman's glorified log cabin myself. The lady was gone. I broke in through the side door again and started walking quietly down the hallway. I turned right into the second bedroom. I opened the closet door, and my greatest fears were confirmed. The closet was completely emptied.